The weakened dragon stands before the mighty forest god, confusion flashing in his eyes as he struggles to comprehend the unlikely alliance between humans and such a powerful being. In the heat of the confrontation, Amami raises his hand, signaling the forest god to stop its attack. With calm determination, Amami asks for an explanation, specifically, the location of the person suffering from the blood-spitting disease. Even as tension lingers in the air, Amami insists that treating the patient is the most urgent matter. Despite the princess calling out to him, Amami remains steadfast, declaring that he will offer medical help to anyone in need, regardless of who they are. His unwavering dedication leaves Princess Yuno momentarily speechless, touched by his selfless resolve. Meanwhile, the demon Alec eyes him with deep suspicion, still unable to believe that a human could be trusted. But before anyone can react further, the air trembles, and suddenly, the king of dragons, known as the Dragon of Insanity, Lindworm, descends before them. Princess Yuno's eyes widen in shock as she stares up at the massive figure, stunned by his unexpected arrival. Lindworm, the mighty Dragon King, steps forward and demands to know why they are attacking someone who came here only to heal her. The demon Alec, clearly shocked, questions his own mother, the Dragon King, asking why she has appeared before them. Lindworm glares at him and asks if he even understands who he's fighting against. Alec pauses, realizing he may have gravely underestimated his opponent. The Dragon King then turns her attention toward Amami and his companions, her tone softening as she expresses approval for their presence. When her piercing eyes meet those of Amami, Princess Yuno, and Corone, confusion spreads among the group. None of them expected this reaction. As Lindworm steps closer to Amami, she gently places her hand on Slime, leaving everyone stunned by the gesture. To their surprise, she addresses the tiny creature respectfully as Elder. The slime responds with a cheerful smile, clearly pleased by the recognition. Acknowledging her mistake, the Dragon King apologizes to the slime, taking full responsibility for the chaos that occurred. Then, with a firm command, she orders her followers to release Queen Melina immediately. The unexpected turn of events leaves everyone in complete shock, even more so when Lindworm, the mighty Dragon King, suddenly apologizes on behalf of her children. But before anyone can respond, she begins to cough violently, spitting up blood. The sight stuns everyone present. Without hesitation, Amami rushes forward to help. Recognizing the symptoms immediately, he suspects that Lindworm herself is the one afflicted by the blood-spitting disease. He quickly calls out to Princess Yuno, asking her to help move the Dragon King somewhere she can lie down. At the same time, he instructs Corone to take care of his medical equipment and prepare for treatment. However, Alec bursts out in protest, shouting for them to keep their hands off his mother. Ignoring the outburst, Amami firmly orders his team to bring the Dragon King into her chamber. Once there, he carefully lays her on the bed and begins his examination. As he checks her condition, he notices a clear conjunctival reaction in her eyes, a telling sign of the disease's progression. Although Amami is unsure how the Dragon King's body functions compared to a human's, he suspects that she might be suffering from anemia. He explains that, depending on her condition, a blood transfusion might be necessary. When Corone curiously asks what a blood transfusion is, Amami patiently explains that it's a procedure where blood from another person is given to the patient, usually when the patient has lost too much of their own. The Elven Queen then recalls hearing about such a practice long ago. However, she notes that transfusions were banned because the recipients would often suffer and eventually die. Amami nods thoughtfully, suggesting that those deaths were likely caused by complications such as incompatible blood types or poor sanitation during the process. He admits that while it's a forbidden practice now, those past failures were probably due to infections or the lack of proper medical standards. At that moment, Princess Yuno speaks up, explaining that the leaves of the World Tree possess powerful properties, capable of reducing fevers and easing pain. Princess Yuno explains that their kingdom was built around the World Tree because of its extraordinary healing powers. Curious, Amami asks how the leaves of the World Tree are typically used. The princess replies that they are boiled in water and drunk immediately to promote healing. When Amami suggests that perhaps the bark of the tree could serve a similar purpose, the princess quickly clarifies that the bark cannot be used under any circumstances. Analyzing her explanation, Amami begins to theorize that the leaves might contain properties similar to aspirin or quinine. He then pulls out a small packet of aspirin from his medical bag, explaining that it's commonly used to reduce fever and relieve pain. As they compare it to the World Tree leaves, Amami warns that its effect might not be beneficial in this case. He points out that aspirin thins the blood, which could worsen bleeding and damage the stomach lining, something they must avoid given the patient's condition. Hearing this, Carone thoughtfully concludes that if the leaves have a similar composition, they could actually harm the patient's stomach, producing the opposite effect of what they intend. Amami firmly advises them to stop using the world tree leaves for treatment, as it might worsen her condition instead of curing it. Suspicious, Alec questions whether Amami's claims are really true. Amami admits honestly that he's not entirely sure yet. The composition might differ, and he would need to verify it to be certain. Concerned, the Dragon Queen then asks him how he plans to treat her. After thinking for a moment, Amami explains that based on her symptoms, it's likely a case of internal bleeding in the upper gastrointestinal tract, and ideally an endoscopy would be necessary for proper diagnosis. Amami explains that an endoscopy is a medical procedure that allows him to look inside the body using a special tool. With it, he can locate the source of internal bleeding and take action to stop it. Hearing this, Princess Yuno is amazed. She watches in awe as Amami demonstrates the tool and the magic behind it, something she's witnessing for the very first time. The Elven Queen slowly opens her eyes. With a faint smile, she says she now understands why the Elder Slime has chosen to accompany Amami. She suspects that he must be from another world. Amami smiles quietly, but the others glance at each other in confusion, unsure of what she truly means. The Queen then calls for her son, Alec, and softly tells him that she believes this is the end for her. Though she tries to stay calm, it's clear she has accepted that there's no way left for her to survive. With a heavy heart, she apologizes to Princess Yuno and Carone for all the trouble she has caused. Holding Alec's trembling hand, the Queen's eyes fill with tears. The entire room grows heavy with sorrow. Desperate, Carone turns to Amami and pleads for any possible way to save her. Amami takes a deep breath, running through every option in his mind. He knows how limited Vano Prazen's resources are and how difficult it would be to perform a lap harami without proper tools. Then suddenly his expression shifts. A spark of hope flashes in his eyes as a new idea comes to him. Noticing this change, Alec quickly steps forward and asks anxiously, "Is there a way to save my mother now, Amami?" Before revealing his plan, Amami needs to confirm something first. He turns to Alec and asks about the cuts on his hand, specifically whether those injuries had been there before he transformed into a dragon. Alec nods and confirms that they were, though he looks puzzled by Amami's sudden question. With a spark of hope in his eyes, Amami suggests that Alec's mother might also have similar cuts somewhere on her body. Confused, Talek asks for a clearer explanation, wanting to understand what Amami means. Amami explains that because of these cuts, there might actually be a way to treat the Queen without performing an endoscopy to see inside her body. He proposes that if the Dragon Queen transforms into her large dragon form, he might be able to help her directly. Upon hearing this, the Queen opens her eyes in surprise and questions what he is planning to do. Amami calmly reveals his strategy. He intends to enter the body of her dragon form himself to stop the internal bleeding from within. Despite expressing his gratitude for any help given, when Amami mentions needing a few specific items, Alec's skepticism immediately surfaces. Consumed by anger, Alec declares his distrust toward humans and refuses to let Amami touch his mother's body, his faith in humanity completely shattered. Remaining calm, Amami offers a compromise. He suggests that Alec accompany him during the treatment, to see everything with his own eyes. He assures Alec that if at any moment he feels uncomfortable or believes any harm is being done to his mother, he has the right to stop him or take action as he sees fit. Still doubtful, Alec narrows his eyes and asks if Amami isn't afraid of him. Without hesitation, Amami replies honestly, saying that the only thing he fears is when a patient's life is slipping away, and he's powerless to save them. Driven by a shared purpose, they hurry toward their destination. Amami and Carone, both exhausted from the long journey, arrive at a vast open area, wide enough to accommodate the Dragon Queen's transformation. After walking for quite some time and following Amami's earlier request, the group provides him with a rope. They then ask about the large blade he mentioned before. Turning his gaze toward the sun, Amami asks if he was the one supposed to bring the blade. In a display of quick thinking, the son acts resourcefully. He wounds his own hand using his horn, then transforms the mixture of his blood and spit into a sword. Handing it to Amami, he explains that the weapon is forged from his blood and pure magic power, making it perfectly suited for his use. He presents the blood and magic-infused sword to Amami, encouraging him to wield it. Noticing the son's injured hand, Amami shows concern and questions him about the wound, but the guards quickly reassure him that they will tend to it. Curious about the source of magic power, Amami asks for more details. The Elven Queen explains that magic power can be gathered by converting the mana that floats in the air. However, she adds that each race perceives mana differently, making the experience unique to each being. Recalling the earlier process, she points out that by chewing on the resin, Amami is actually infusing it with magic power. Still, even with that explanation, he can't fully grasp how this strange power truly works. Deciding to strike while the iron is hot, Amami begins his work. As he brings the blade down, confusion sweeps over him. The sword bursts into flames before his eyes. He can't comprehend how it happened. The Elven Queen calmly declares that he must be a fire dragon. Amami observes the blade's fiery reaction, a perfect reflection of her fire dragon nature. Realizing its usefulness for the upcoming operation, he chooses it over a regular blade. Now fully prepared, they ready themselves to begin the procedure. The queen channels her magic, and a powerful spark ignites the air. Bathed in the glow of the spark, the Elven Queen transforms into her full dragon form. Amami is completely stunned by the sheer size of the dragon before him. The Demon Queen proudly displays her majestic form, leaving everyone around her frozen in awe. Amazed by her immense power, Amami can't help but praise the dragon, calling her an incredible and formidable creature. The Demon Prince then calls out to him, trying to get his attention as the others watch with growing tension. Sensing the pressure in the air, Amami turns his focus to Corone, who appears exhausted while holding the heavy rope. Concerned for her, he gently asks how she's doing, but Corone insists on continuing, saying she wants to help at least this much. Taking charge, Amami instructs the Dragon Queen to lie down on her left side. Following his direction, she quietly complies, her massive form settling onto the ground as the operation is about to begin. With everyone in position, they signal that they're ready to begin the operation and enter her body. But the urgency intensifies, her condition is rapidly deteriorating. Blood continues to pour from her mouth, a grim reminder that time is slipping away. Every second counts as they race against the clock to save her life. The rope suddenly begins to move rapidly, causing Alec to grow anxious, his mind racing with worries about what might be happening inside his mother's body. He can't help but wonder if everything is going smoothly for Amami. As the rope jerks violently, it unexpectedly comes loose, leaving Amami in a perilous situation. Just as he's about to plummet from a great height, he swiftly reaches out, desperately grabbing for anything within reach. In that tense moment, he spots the slime nearby. It instantly transforms into a rope, wrapping around him and restoring his balance just in time. Using the slime as an improvised lifeline, Amami carefully scans for a safe landing spot amid the chaos. But as he searches for a foothold, the danger intensifies. The stomach acid below bubbles ominously. He slips, losing his grip, and plunges straight into the acid, which immediately starts burning through his clothes. In the nick of time, the slime rushes to his aid once more, pulling him out of the corrosive liquid before it's too late. Amami takes a deep breath, realizing just how close he came to a deadly end. He's grateful that he was wearing his usual clothes. Had he hesitated even a minute longer, the outcome could have been fatal. Turning to the slime, Amami expresses his heartfelt thanks, checking to make sure it's unharmed after saving him yet again. He apologizes for any trouble he might have caused and sincerely thanks it once more for its quick help. As he looks at the slime, Amami realizes he doesn't actually know its name. Remembering that Mrs. Lindworm once called it Elder, he wonders if it even has one. With a small smile, he suggests naming it El. To his surprise, the slime bursts with excitement, bouncing joyfully at its new name. Meanwhile, outside the body, Alec, the son, had been holding tightly to the rope connected to Amami. But eventually, overwhelmed by worry and uncertainty, he lets it slip from his hands, his anxiety growing by the second. Inside the dragon's stomach, Amami carefully surveys his surroundings, trying to pinpoint the source of the problem. Beside him, El the slime shines a small pin light, casting a faint glow through the fleshy walls. Following the faint trail of blood, Amami decides to head in that direction. Even though he knows it isn't stomach acid so it won't dissolve him, he still treads carefully, aware that slipping could be dangerous. As he moves deeper inside, the sight of a large pool of blood makes him pause in shock. After taking a closer look, Amami confirms that it's indeed blood, not acid, meaning he's getting closer to the root of the issue. Pushing forward, he finally comes face to face with a massive growth. At first glance, he recognizes it immediately, Yamada in its fourth stage, a malignant neoplasm known as cancer. Outside, Alec grows increasingly anxious as his mother remains unconscious for an extended period. Meanwhile, far away in the dense jungle, two human healers, Nelson and Sa, fugitives from the elven country, make their way through the thick vegetation. Nelson's frustration boils over as he complains about the lack of proper roads in such a harsh environment. Sa, trying to calm him down, suggests that hiding in these tangled woods reduces the chance of being found. But Nelson explodes again, demanding to know why they even have to hide in the first place, blaming their situation on those people. Sa counters, questioning the failure of their magic to cure the blood-spitting disease and pointing out that even the sacred leaves from the world tree didn't work. Nelson coldly responds, revealing that the blood-spitting disease is incurable from the start, and that, frankly, he doesn't care. To him, Lindworm is simply unfortunate to have been afflicted with such a fate. He suggests that the Eccles might have the power to cure the blood-spitting disease. However, Nelson immediately dismisses the idea, warning her not to use him as a comparison. He insists that Eccles is an anomaly, someone capable of healing any illness, something no ordinary person could ever achieve. Sa remains deep in thought, unconvinced. She believes there must be some kind of hidden secret behind it. After all, if such healing is possible for one, why not for others too? Their discussion abruptly ends when a pack of black wolves emerges from the shadows, forcing them to prepare for battle. Meanwhile, inside the dragon's body, Amami continues to examine the massive tumor before him. Treating it is proving difficult. Even with his medical knowledge, it's unlike anything in a human body. He concludes that the excessive blood loss caused by this large tumor is severe enough to induce anemia, explaining the Dragon Queen's condition. Examining the visible stalk, Amami decides that his first step should be to remove it carefully and in order. He considers how to secure it, perhaps using a cup or a polypectomy snare, and then sterilize the incision with a snare or electrocautery. However, he quickly realizes the problem. He doesn't have any of those tools. Even if he did, they wouldn't be sufficient for handling a tumor of this size. Weighing his options, he thinks about using a rope as a substitute, something sturdy enough to endure the heat of cauterization. But another issue arises. He lacks the physical strength required for such a demanding task. What worries him most is whether he'll be able to stop the bleeding once the stalk is removed. Although he considers the sword in his possession, he knows it's completely different from an electrocautery device and may not be suitable for this type of operation. Considering the possibility that an impaled object might be the source of the bleeding, Amami thinks about using the large scalpel to deal with the problem. Remembering how he once used flames to cauterize a stomach ulcer, he hesitates, unsure if removing the tumor this way would be safe. Given the Dragon Queen's severely anemic condition, he knows she might not survive such a risky procedure. If her stomach were to fill with blood, her chances of survival would drop drastically. With that grim thought, Amami realizes he can't waste another second. Immediate action is crucial. The longer he waits, the worse her condition will become. Even if he tried to retreat, there's no guarantee he'd find better tools, and returning later would be nearly impossible. Fixing his gaze on the massive tumor, Amami steels his resolve. He knows what must be done. Without hesitation, he starts looping the rope around the tumor, running in circles as he tightens it and begins pulling with all his strength. As Amami prepares to tie off the tumor with a square knot, he knows he has to pull with all his strength, but not so much that the rope snaps apart. When blood starts seeping out from the tumor, worry hits him hard. It's a bad sign. The blood flow hasn't been completely cut off yet. The color shifts from red to a dark purple, showing that more needs to be done. Amami's hands tremble, and a wave of numbness creeps through his fingers. Thankfully, the slime perched on his shoulder jumps in to help with the knot tying. To his surprise, Amami realizes the slime can even manipulate the small tree growing on its head to assist. Grateful for its quick thinking, he thanks the slime and urges it to keep going. Together, through their combined effort and determination, they manage to tie a solid square knot around the tumor. The bleeding stops instantly. The blood supply is finally cut off. For now, it seems stable. Taking a deep breath, Amami reaches for the flame sword given to him by the daughter, ready for the next step. Amami begins cutting into the tumor, fully aware that his method can't match the precision of an electrocautery. Still, he believes it's good enough for what needs to be done. He moves carefully, taking his time, mindful of the tumor's soft, delicate texture. Meanwhile, outside, the Dragon Queen's son grows increasingly restless. The procedure has taken too long. Trying to ease his worry, Corone reassures him, saying, "Master will save your mother. Please, stay calm." But the son isn't convinced. Doubt fills his voice as he questions Corone's confidence, warning her that if a mommy fails, she'll share the consequences as well. Corone doesn't flinch. She firmly replies that Master once saved her life, reminding him of a mommy's extraordinary skills. Though their illnesses were different, she believes without a doubt that he can save his mother too. Alec, however, still isn't convinced. His frustration flares as he demands, "Did a mommy really save you from the blood-spitting disease? If not, why should we trust him?" The Queen steps in, confirming that Yuno, though doubtful at first, was indeed saved by a mommy. She urges everyone to have faith. They must believe they can defeat this disease and save his mother, the one with whom she has shared countless centuries. Seeing the son's distress, the Queen speaks gently, acknowledging his frustration but reminding him that belief is crucial right now. She reassures him that his mother is still fighting, refusing to give in. Placing a comforting hand on his shoulder, she tries to ease his worry. He exhales deeply, the tension slowly leaving his body. Meanwhile, the massive dragon lies helpless on the ground, blood spilling from her mouth as she continues to struggle. And there I stand, witnessing it all.